Hey guys, welcome back to T-Bones Tech. In today's video, we are reviewing the Canon 90D after owning it for over 3 months. For those of you who are new to the channel, you probably don't know that the Canon 90D was my go-to camera for all my videos for about, I think, 2.5 years until I upgraded to the Canon 5D Mark IV, and then I also bought a Canon EOS RP, and now the camera that I've stuck with most is probably the Canon EOS R, which is currently filming the video that you are watching right now. But like I said before this changes, my main go-to camera was the Canon EOS 90D. It could film 1080p video at 60 frames per second, and I love to get super smooth pans with this camera filming at 60 frames per second and then slowing down the footage 2 times. The Canon 80D also had Canon's Dual Pixel AF, which is very new for Canon, and that autofocusing system was absolutely incredible and made a huge difference in my video workflow. Before I had to manually focus and kind of grab the camera and manually focus it and try to get it locked in with cameras like the Canon 60D that I had before the Canon 80D, but Dual Pixel AF on this Canon 80D was a complete game changer and really improved my life and made filming videos just like this one so much easier. And now, fast forwarding almost 4 years, we now have its replacement, the Canon 90D. Now, instead of uploading my review about a day after releasing it, which a lot of people did, and I'm not knocking them, I decided I would take this review much slower and really get to use this Canon 90D as my daily camera and see how it actually performed over a long period of time and really compare it to other higher end cameras like the Canon 5D Mark IV and again the Canon EOS R. So first off, let's jump into some of the specs of the camera. The Canon 90D features Canon's brand new 32.5 megapixel APS-C size sensor. This is a brand new sensor for Canon. They're going to put in a ton of their APS-C cameras and it is definitely top of the line in its segment. And the old Canon 80D had a 24 megapixel sensor, so there's even a pretty big megapixel difference between both these two sensors. And I did a full hands-on comparison of these two cameras where I found that the Canon 90D actually scientifically performed better than the Canon 80D. And if you guys want to check out that video, I have it linked in the description down below or somewhere up in the information cards. Now, surprisingly enough, there actually wasn't a huge performance difference in sensor technology from the Canon 80D to the Canon 90D. The Canon 90D was about a stop better in low light performance, and the Canon 90D was also definitely a little bit sharper. Probably one of the biggest and most important upgrades of the Canon 90D was it has a brand new Canon Digic A image processor, and that allows this camera to film 4K video with no crop, and it can also film 1080p video at 120 frames per second. The 4K video that this Canon 90D shoots is truly impressive. It can shoot 4K video at 30 frames per second, and the footage just looks very sharp and very nice, and honestly it almost looks just as good as any 4K video coming out of the Canon EOS R or the Canon 5D Mark IV. The 4K video quality coming out of cameras like the Canon M50 or even the Canon EOS R really just wasn't that good, and it did have a crop factor and it just was at 24 frames per second and it really wasn't ideal. But here on the Canon 90D, the 4K video is really top notch, and I did do a full video test if you guys want to see more sample video that was filmed with the Canon EOS 90D. And when you're filming 4K video on the Canon 90D, you also can enable Dual Pixel AF, which is also a huge deal. The 90D also has great battery life. That's because it features a Canon LPE6 battery. Again, this is the exact same battery found in cameras like the 5D Mark IV and the Canon EOS R. And this battery allows you to shoot for hours and hours without having to go back and recharge it, unlike cameras like the Canon T7i or the Canon SL2, which have much smaller batteries. I really like how the SD card slot is located in the correct section, which is over here on the right side of the camera, right on the side, so you can easily take your SD card in or out. I hate it when they are placed here at the bottom, because then if you have a big tripod plate, you can't access the SD card slot, and that is just a pain in the neck. So it's nice that it is located here on the side. As far as ports go, we have a 3.5mm microphone jack for a shotgun microphone. We also have a headphone jack, which allows you to monitor audio coming in through the shotgun microphone, and you can monitor it with headphones on. Then we have a wired shutter release, along with a USB port and a HDMI out. The Canon 90D feels great in the hand, it just feels very comfortable, and you can hold this camera for hours at a time without really any discomfort. It's a little bit heavier than something like a Rebel, but because the grip feels so good in my hand, and I can easily go out on all-day shoots with no discomfort. Another new addition to the Canon 90D is it actually has a joystick, just like the 5D Mark IV has, so you can navigate the menu much more easily with this joystick. It's very easy to use, and it's definitely a breeze compared to not having it on the Canon 90D. This camera still has a very cool old school top deck display, which allows you to look down and see your settings at a glance. And it's really nice that they have this on here, and it also does really preserve battery life because you can see all your settings here on this low power display instead of having to look at them on your LCD screen, which is going to draw a lot more power. The Canon 90D is truly an impressive camera, and honestly, if I had to, I could replace my Canon EOS R or my Canon 5D Mark IV with the Canon EOS 90D. It really is that good. And this camera really does punch way above its price tag, and that's why Canon actually limited it and didn't allow it to film 4K video at 24 frames a second originally, because they were afraid this camera was going to punch so far above its weight class or its price class and start to cannibalize the market of the Canon EOS R or those higher end cameras. So as far as shooting very good 4K video on somewhat of a budget, you really can't go wrong with the Canon EOS 90D. But if you're looking for a camera just for stills, I don't think it's worth that extra $600 compared to most of these other cameras here on the table. A lot of these have the 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor, and honestly, for stills, there's really not a big difference unless you really need that extra sharpness from the higher megapixel count found in the Canon 90D. So for stills, I'd probably recommend picking up the old Canon 80D for around $600 now. Used, they are very affordable, or something like the Canon T7i, or even the Canon M50 or SL3. But as far as video goes, the Canon 90D is the new budget king. As far as pricing goes, the Canon 90D comes in at $1,200, but of course the price is going to slowly drop after this video comes out, and I think for $1,200 right now this camera is very good with its 4K video and its 1080p video at 124 frames per second. It is really a very powerful camera that you can shoot cinematic video with pretty easily. But like I said, the price is expected to drop, so I'm going to leave a link in the description down below for current pricing and availability, but overall it's a very great camera, and honestly, it's one of my favorites, and it's almost good enough to replace the Canon EOS R, again, that I'm filming the video on right now, and that really is impressive. But that's all I got for you guys in this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give me a big thumbs up down below, and of course, make sure to hit the subscribe button and then to be notified every single time I upload a brand new video, just like this one, to my YouTube channel. But again, that's all I got for you guys in this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.